Yo, what's up world? It's your boy Philochko here. You know that American dude with the incredible mood? My mood doesn't sound so incredible right now. But yeah, that's me, American dude, incredible mood. And I'm gonna make another video. I'm probably gonna try to make one once a week just so I can let you guys know I'm alive. And today I want to talk about the movie that's coming out soon, a Russian movie called, well, in English it's called The Guardians, but in Russian it's called Zashitniki. Now, Zashitniki, they spent about $5 million making this movie here in Russia. And it's like the Russian version of the Avengers, so they have different types of characters that are supposed to represent the different types of Russians that live here in Russia. They have one character that's like half man, half bear, and he has a big Gatling gun and he's shooting at airplanes and bad guys and all this stuff. And yeah, so it's basically, it looks very exciting. I saw the trailer looks good, but I don't necessarily want to talk about the movie too much, but just to let you guys know, the movie's coming out in February of 2017. You can check it out, especially if you're here in Russia, you just go to the theaters. In America, I don't know if they'll be ready that time with the translations and stuff, but I could look into that later in the future. But what I want to talk about is the Russian attitude towards Russian things. Because what's funny is, when I saw this movie trailer, the first thing I thought was, wow, this is going to be awesome, that's going to be cool, and that's going to be good for Russia in many different ways. That's what I thought. I was like, this is going to be good for Russia in many, many different ways. Popular culture is important for any country or any nationality, city, anything. Popular culture is very important when it comes to how you advertise yourself, which affects how people look at you and can affect your income. You understand? So, in my opinion, America is one of the best countries in the world at advertising itself. That's why so many people go there, so many people try to stay there and live there, because where they were raised, they watch movies, they see America, and they're like, oh my God, it's great, it's so much fun. That's why they go there. So, I'll get back to that. But first, I want to talk about why I'm making this video. So, I had a conversation with a few Russian people about this movie. And I was like, oh, you know about this new movie coming out? It's like the Russian version of the Avengers, and they have the half man, half bear guy. You guys are going to see the movie. And every Russian person, it's only like three or four, if I remember properly. And they're all Russian males. And I'm like, hey, dude, you going to check out that movie? And they're all like, no, it's going to suck. No, it's going to be bad. No, it's going to be bad. And I'm like, why, like... It's so often that when I hear something bad said or anything like that about Russia, it's usually from a Russian person. So for example, people say things to me like, oh, I'm afraid to go to America sometimes. My mom or father is afraid of me going to America because they think Americans hate Russians. Like, I've heard that, and I'm like, that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. No one cares. You go to Russia, no one's going to America, no one's going to care that you're Russian. You're kind of just, another white person who just speaks Russian, right? So I'm like, no one's going to, there's no anti-Russian groups in America. It's like, no one cares. I try to express that. But what's funny is when I do hear bad things said about Russia, it's usually from Russians. And that's the shit that kills me. It kills me because I just don't get it. Now, I'm not saying these Russian people hate Russia. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of these people who do that and speak bad about Russia and usually don't want to live in Russia, I guess they just have bad experiences that I myself don't experience because I'm not Russian. Or maybe because, I haven't been here all my life. Or maybe because I know I have the luxury to leave whenever I feel like it. So I'm not exactly sure. So I can't say they're wrong or they're right for how they're feeling, because the truth is, I'm not a Russian person, and I will never know how it is to be a Russian person living in Russia. I'll never know what that's like, no matter what I do. I could learn all the Russian in the world. I could even get a citizenship. I might have some experience, but I still won't know what it's really like to be a Russian living in Russia. So I never tell them, oh, you're wrong or whatever. Even the ones who love it, they say, oh, Russia's the best. I'm like, okay, that's your view, that's for you, but I don't know what it's like to be like you in Russia. And it's the same way when I tell people, you don't know what it's like to be black in Russia, and you'll never know. So don't tell me this is okay or this isn't okay. You don't know. I know. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. So the first guy I spoke to, he's a barman at a bar. And I think it was our first time ever talking. And I told him, like, oh, this movie's coming out. It's going to be great. I think this is going to be really good for Russia. And he's like, no, it's going to suck. And I was like, why are you so sure? He was like, one, Russians aren't really good at making any sort of like movie where it's fantasy. Like any sort of movie that's based on fiction, like science fiction or anything like that, like superheroes, space travel, anything like that. Russians aren't good at it. They're not very creative, and it's going to be bad. But he did say Russians are really good at making historical movies, like movies about war, maybe movies about like mafia stuff, things like that, like Russian mafia back in the day or whatever it is. He said they're really good at that. When it comes to superhero stuff, that's more of an American thing. Russia typically, or I don't think they have any from what I hear, any real iconic superheroes. There's not really any Russian iconic superheroes. Now, I'm sure you could mention one or two, or maybe 4 or 5, but none of them are really iconic in Russia. You know, it's not common that I go around and I see some Russian superhero being advertised in Russia. You don't see that. Here you see like Masha and Medved. It's a very popular cartoon that even my nieces, like I forgot how to say niece in Russian, but my sister's daughters, they watch that in America. Because I think anyone can watch Masha and Medved because they don't really speak much in that show. There's not that much talking. It's a little girl beating the fucking hell out of a bear for like 10 minutes. Then the last 1 minute she does something nice for him. Then they start the next episode. That's really what it's like. And they don't really talk, but it's a very attractive cartoon. Masha's very funny. Masha also has a sister. Her sister has glasses and her sister's a little nicer. The bear also has a girlfriend, but Masha always cock blocks the bear and like always just ruins things, and at the end makes it better. But you know, and a lot of Russian parents actually don't like that show because they feel it teaches their children to misbehave and be nice in the last minute. So I don't think that. I think that show's doing great, but I don't think that show is too popular with the parents who know the children are watching it. And you know, some other cartoons, you know, they have out here. But other than all that, there's not really any big time Russian superheroes. There's not like we have Captain America and all those other people. There's not like a Captain Russia or anything like that really. That's really big. That's really well known. That kids dress up as on Halloween or anything like that. So that was his point. That it's gonna suck. And the other one just basically said the same thing. They said, you know, it's just gonna be a wannabe American Avengers, and it's gonna fail. They spend $5 million for no reason. It's gonna suck, and that's how they feel. So I don't have that much to say about this besides I want to see the movie, and I think any Russian person, I think every Russian person who has the time and the money to see this movie should go see this movie. And there's reasons I think so. Here are the reasons. Now, as a person who grew up in America for 26 years, and I would always hear about Russia as I was growing up, and I almost never heard anything good. You know, growing up, I mean, the only thing good you learn about Russia growing up is that, you know, the World War II thing. That's one thing we learned, that, you know, Russians beat up the Germans during World War II, and you know, they're tough and all that stuff. Yeah, but everything else you hear about, like actual today Russia, is usually never anything good. Of course, it's mostly because of the news and stuff like that. So you always hear about the bad things in Russia. You never really hear about the good things. So what's interesting is I realize even as I'm here and I realize I'm having a lot of fun in Russia, besides from what I know personally, what do my friends or people I'm close to know that's good about Russia? And not only that, how are they going to find out? Considering American media isn't very fond of Russia, how are they going to find out what's good about Russia? How are they going to know? Unless they have a first-hand experience. Because I'll tell you now, a lot of the Russian people I met who live in America, especially the ones who migrated to America and they're staying there, they don't have that many good things to say in the first place, and that's why they're staying in America. So how are they going to find out? Then I thought about it, and I've mentioned this before, that Russia doesn't have very much popular culture. Russia doesn't have much. You don't have many movies that people around the world watch, especially in first world countries where it's the most important when it comes to money in your economy and stuff like that. Not much music. No. I mean, there is some things you have like mafia people and stuff, but that doesn't make people say things like, hey, let's go visit Russia. You know, there's mafia there. It doesn't work that way. So I'm like, how are people going to know good things about Russia if Russia doesn't have much popular culture? How are they going to know? how do you gonna know? How do you want the world? Like when I say the world, I do mean the world, but mostly the most important countries, like the country with money, the countries where people will leave their country, visit yours, and spend a lot of money. And of course, when people come to your country, spend money, that helps your economy. That's common sense, right? But how are these people going to know? The solution to the problem is Russia needs popular culture. So I think this movie is a really good start. The movie Stalingrad back in 2012 was really good too. But that wasn't really for the young people. You know, if you really want to get to people, you got to start when they're young. You understand? Because when you grow up and you're learning things, it gets stuck in your head. You know, when you learn things as a kid, you're like a sponge. You know, like a sponge you clean stuff with. It gets stuck in there as a kid. That's why kids are they're easier to be influenced. Because, you know, they believe things more. Oh, Santa Claus, there's all the stuff. They believe things more. They take it in more, and it sticks with them probably throughout their whole life. It'll always be in their mind. You know, when you learn something as a kid, it's very important to learn when you're a kid so you can survive as an adult. So this movie is a good idea, but you have to start young. So, for example, the Avengers, the Russian version of the Avengers. That's better than even Stalingrad because a lot of young people are going to see it. Anywhere from 13 and up, whatever. And when these young people see this movie, they could say something like, "Oh, that's a Russian movie. These Russians made this movie. Whoa, what's Russia? What country? What cities are in Russia? What is Russia like?" It'll start bringing up the name Russia more in a light that's not negative. So any light, when I say light, I mean by view. So let's say there's three types of light. They could be negative light. Russia's a bad place. You know, bears attack people and, you know, they're all racist and homophobic. Example, medium light. Russia is one of the biggest countries in the world. The Russian currency is called the ruble. No, that's just normal stuff. Then there's good things. Russia makes great movies. Russians are very friendly. Russian women are very beautiful. Everyone knows that one. Russia has cool technology and weapons. They were the first people to go into space. You know, those are the positive things, right? So anything neutral to positive is good when a country's name is brought up. It's good. It's like advertising. That's what it is. So, for example, when I walk around any country in the world, I always see an American flag somewhere. All the time. I see on clothing. I see them on walls inside stores, and I'm like, I'm not even in America. And what kills me even more so, and this is insane, because being a person from Brooklyn, New York City, I still can't get over the fact how no matter where I go in the world, I see Brooklyn everywhere. And I'm like, yo, it's like, do you guys know how small Brooklyn is compared to the world? Why is Brooklyn everywhere? It's on people's in the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan. All those are basically boroughs or big neighborhoods in the city I'm from. It's like, why are these names everywhere? I'm not in Brooklyn right now. I'm in Novosibirsk, Russia. I saw a Bronx shirt and a Brooklyn hat in one day. I'm like, what's going on over here? Popular culture, advertising. That's what it does. And when people wear these types of clothes, it makes them more likely to want to visit these places. So that's another way Russia can establish popular culture, through clothing. We all know Russia makes alcohol, not makes alcohol, but vodka. We all know Russia is one of the best homes for vodka and stuff. That's kind of, I guess that's good. You know, you could get some visitors who want to try some vodka and stuff. But basically what I'm saying here is, if Russia wants to increase the amount of tourism from first world countries, because Russia does get a lot of visitors, but I don't know how most Russians feel about these visitors, because Russia gets a lot of visitors from the south, and they do like the little entry-level jobs or illegal jobs, and that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that's bad. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about visitors who are going to come here and spend a good amount of money. That's what I'm talking about. Like me, my friend here, Jean-Marc, and other people who will come here and spend money. You know, I spend a good amount of money. The one bar I go to the most, I was doing the math, and I think in this bar I spend maybe a month, maybe 30,000 rubles a month in this one bar. You understand? 30,000 rubles. Now that's nothing compared to what I would spend if I were doing the same thing in New York City. That's nothing. And 30,000 rubles, that's probably like more than $400. More than $400. But that's nothing compared to what it would be if I was doing that same thing in New York City. That's nothing. In New York City, that would be maybe 3,000, and I wouldn't do it because I can't spend money like that out there, you know. So that's kind of a good thing. But if you want kind of, you know, more people like that, you got to advertise yourself more, whether in a neutral or positive light. People have to hear Russia more. People have to see Russia more. People have to feel Russia more. And I think that's part of the reason they're making this movie. And I think that's a really, 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 really good idea. I think it's very, very smart. I think it's great. I think it's going to help some businesses in Russia and all that stuff. I think that's really good. But the one thing, of course, everyone knows that's good about Russia is the women. Everybody knows that. And you do get tourism from first world countries, from people here who want to meet women usually. But at the same time, most of those women don't stay. They leave. So it's kind of like, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's, oh yeah, guys come here who want to meet Russian girls, but at the same time, half the girls that want to meet are already leaving, going to another country. And when they come meet these girls, those girls want to leave. They don't want to stay here. It's not like, hey, bring your business here, bring your stuff here to Russia, let's stay. It's, no, it's nice to meet you. Now let's go to your country, I want to stay with you. So it's like, it's good and bad for Russia at the same time, because Russia has a small population, very small population for how big it is. Very small population, like a little bit more than Japan. And Russia's how many times bigger than Japan? Many times bigger. But the population is small. But I'm not saying Russia advertising itself is going to fix everything, but it can help. You understand? It can help with when a country knows how, like America and Britain, knows how to advertise itself, knows how to give the world a view they want the world to have of themselves. So America's like, we want the world to think like this. So we're going to make movies and stuff and blah, 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 make the world think of us like this. And it's working. For the most part, it's working. Even people who don't like the American government, which is fine. I don't give a damn about governments at all. I'm not a political person. I don't trust any of them anywhere. But even people who don't like the American government or American policies or, you know, what the military does, whatever, they are still willing to go there and just live and spend time, and they're happy to do it. Even the people who first want to say Obama should be out of office, that government's full of devils, I hate it, but let's go to Florida. And they go to Florida and they stay there, or come back, but the point is they go there. So I'm not necessarily talking about the government and stuff too much. I'm more talking about just the country itself. The way the government advertises the country itself, like it's a great place to be, it's fun, it's warm, it's beautiful. That's something I think if Russia develops for itself as well, it would have a better relationship with the world on a people level. I'm not talking about a government level, but on a people level, on a business level, and all that stuff, it would help out Russia a little bit. Because I'm here and I'm having the time of my fucking life. I'm trying not to say bad words, but I can't do it. I gotta be myself, you know? Anyway, I'm having the time of my fucking life. I'm having so much fun here that goddamn, you understand? I'm having a blast, but it's like, other people don't know that they could really enjoy themselves here. They don't know. They don't know that coming here as a foreigner, a lot of people will show you love and not hate like they think. A lot of people think you go to Russia, if you don't look like them and if you don't talk like them and you know you're from some other country, they're just going to mostly hate you automatically, and that's not the case. Of course there's some stupid people out here who will feel that way, I'll give you that, but nobody's paying them no attention. Don't let anybody intimidate you. Just have fun, travel, and do your thing. And Russia, in my opinion, so far, is a great place. I've been here on and off for about 4 years, and I'm having the time of my life. If I had more followers and if I were really famous or something, I would let people know that this is a fucking great-ass country, and people need to stop, how do I say this in regular English? Because in slang I would say, people need to stop sleeping on Russia. In slang, when you sleep on something, that means like you're not paying it much attention. You know, you're kind of ignoring it. So don't sleep on Russia. It's a really great country. You know what I mean? Don't sleep on it. And I guess that's all I really have to say. I will have a link to the movie, the Guardians, in the description. It'll lead you to an article and the trailer. And that's really it, guys. If you have suggestions of things you want me to talk about, you can just leave it in the comments, and I'll talk about it. And that's really it. So I'm out, guys. Hope you understood. Hope my English wasn't too fast and shit. Later. And shit.